Hello everyone, Angelino over here, and today we are going to talk about the builds to begin that I did before on last epoch and that I will recommend for this new season or patch, let's say. As you might expect, there has been quite a big gap between the times I last played last epoch because I kind of quit the last league and then they didn't really implement a lot of things after I left. I did kill Averos and everything. If you haven't checked my guides, I mainly focus on Lethal Mirage. I have done two lightning ones. The first one with two Fulgurite Shards and the second one with the Black Blade of Chaos. I'm going to begin explaining the leveling build kind of that I did do a video in the last season. This leveling build uses still things like Shadow Cascade, and other places like dancing strikes or things like that to get extra shadows and then use lethal mirage. Afterwards you will be able to only use lethal mirage with a little bit of a combo. The Fulgurite Shard ones used a little bit of dancing strikes, and the Black Blade of Chaos one used puncture. So I'm going to begin explaining the one for leveling and something. I'm going to go through the video. Remember, now servers are down, so I can't really go inside of the game and show you gameplay. But if you are curious, you can check any of the 3 videos that I will post in the description. And I also will leave the planners themselves in each of the videos. You can find them, and the only planner that I will leave is the last one. That this is the build that I'm going to likely play, or to, let's say, improve with the new mechanics, because there are new cool idols and items and things that I want to try. The one with Black Blade of Chaos was the most fun one, even if the Fulgurite Shards was a little bit stronger in the one combo situation, mainly because we could stack more multiplayers thanks to Bion's Chariot. Remember, with Black Blade of Chaos, we didn't have access to that powerful unique that we can turn into a legendary. So without further ado, let's go into the build itself. First of all, we have this, and then on our passives, it's nothing crazy. You want to get, of course, I didn't get it fully, but you want to get Lethal Cadence to the max, because this makes it so every third of our attacks is super powerful. We're still dual wielding, so we want to get some dual wielding things. And then same thing with here, you get some less damage taking while moving, some dodge hit chance and other things. This is of course a leveling one, so you only get 20 on Rogue and then go into Blade Dancer. And the most important ones are, in the case, all in, and then anything else that you can get. This is just when I finish the campaign. Of course, afterwards, after going to level 100, you will do some changes one way or another, but this is just so you can check them out. And then, of course, for attacks, we are using Shift, Lethal Mirage, Synchronized Strike to get shadows, Shadow Cascade to clear, and Dancing Strikes to get several buffs, and also to clear things. With Shift, as you might expect, you want to get the always crit and get the extra damage, 2 points of extra damage. So this will be the things that you will focus into it. Of course, you want to rush the always crit, but it's going to take a long while. So don't worry about that. You will just keep going from here and then get the bleed and more bleed. And while you are leveling, you actually do quite a bit of bleed damage, but don't worry about that. Dancing Strikes, you will want for leveling to get the Dark Blades, because Shadow Daggers do a lot of damage while leveling, of course. And you get the Shadow Cascades with the attack from Dancing Strikes. It's nothing crazy and helps a lot on clear. Synchronized Strikes to get extra shadows here, more mana, but it leaves more shadows. And then here you have more mana efficiency, and this is just to get an execute and some extra damage here. And the Crimson Shrouds are good to get less damage over time taken. Lethal Mirage, you just go instantly to the additional Mirage on both sides, and then get the extra damage per shadow consumed. This is going to be a cool thing because remember there's a new mod on gloves that gives you one extra shadow, and then shadow cascade is nothing crazy. Here you just get the extra damage on shadow cascade, the one that makes it so it doesn't have attack speed scaling but does a lot more damage. And remember sometimes to get a shadows on kill, making it so you can spam it quite a lot. You can do synchronized strike, shadow cascade, or spam it a little bit more. The mana refund per shadow is very good, and same thing, mana gained per shadow, it's also good. That will be what you will level with. Focus firstly on getting some crease, because we do a lot of critical damage, and of course you can get them with some flat melee damage or percentage melee damage, or some shred, or even better with multiplier, with whatever you can, and then everything else is just getting resistances. In your idols, of course, you will get some resistances, and the flat health mod does not exist anymore on the stout idols, but you can get it somewhere else. Just increase damage, blah blah blah. And then for blessings, you won't have blessings leveling, so we ignore those. Now I'm going to go into the end game builds. You can choose between the one that is for the Fulgurite Shard or for Black Blade of Chaos. They don't change much, and I'm not going to explain the Fulgurite Shard a lot, but the combo is a little bit different. You can watch one of my older clips, the ones from the beginning of 2024, the first one here. And basically what we do is we synchronize the strike, then do 2 dancing strikes, then shift before the Bion, just before the Bion's buff expires, and then Lethal Mirage, because Lethal Mirage is a movement ability, you get that extra 40% more damage. That is basically the combo, and you don't need to know a lot. The only thing that changes is that we do go for the Shocking Grasp on Lethal Mirage, and then for damage elsewhere. The Umbral Blades in this endgame build and the other one is just there because it gives the spiny swords, and those swords apply things like armor penetration, bleed, that remember bleed increases our damage, and other things. Dancing Strike, same thing, you get the everything that buffs your overall damage, and same here, you get every time you have used Dancing Strike, we use it twice, so it will be 120% in this case. The difference between this build and the other one is that this one has more points into flow. You get the all of this, and I think in the end I only used one dance instead of 2 dances, mainly because I just remembered for Lethal Cadence we want to proc this one. That's why you would do synchronized strike, dancing strikes, and then shift Lethal Mirage. That way you get Lethal Cadence and you also get flow on your damage. Of course, same here, you go full on critical strike multiplier. And remember, our shadows don't do damage in this build, so we only get 1 point here, and then 1 point here, and everything else over here. And in Falconer, we get this one. When you get with haste, you get extra damage. It's never bad. One thing that you do need to know while leveling and other things is coated blades. Be very careful about this. If you don't have the mana sustain or enough mana to do this, just go point by point very carefully and know if you can do the combo well. You will get some mana back just from killing enemies and from general regeneration. But if you have many points and don't have enough mana, remember everything costs 40 extra. So your synchronized strike, your dancing strikes, and your Lethal Mirage would cost 40 mana extra. That is the change. For the combo on the double Fulgurite Shard one, you have a lot of cooldown reduction on both weapons, belt, and ideally also on the boots. So you can, for clearing, just use shift and lethal mirage. And in the Black Blade of Chaos is the same, but using the combo instead of 1 dancing strikes, we are going to use 1 rupture. So we are going to synchronize the strikes, rupture, shift, lethal mirage, and repeat if you can, or if the boss survives. The passives, as you can see, don't change much. You get same thing on lethal cadence, full on coated blades when you can, remember. And here it's a little bit different. I did the same things about this, getting to tempo, full on critical multiplier, but I got some extra on the marksman, doing more damage with concentration. Concentration means that if you haven't been hit, so if you do your full combo without being hit, it also resets very fast in like 4 seconds. You can get these points. So you can tweak the other 3 that I had shown you to get these 14 points. But remember, this is a level 100 thing, so you may need to move points a little bit one way or another to get them around. And same thing, do be very careful with coated blades because it's something that you need to min max to get enough mana and regeneration, so you don't run out mana all of the time. Now Arthur's blessings. The blessings will be almost the same for the 2 builds. We are both using lightning damage, so we will need lightning shred. These are whatever. I have physical resistance. Then endurance. Remember, endurance is a very strong mechanic for rogues because we also have the point from Death Door. So that plus endurance and some endurance threshold and life in general makes it more durable than expected. All resistances is never bad. Void resistance, etc. etc. You could get Void Shred on the Black Blade of Chaos one if you go for the double Void and lightning damage. But I did need this Void resistance over here because the Nihilis on the other build I was using the Omnius because Nihilis didn't exist. But as you might expect, +2 on all the skills is very good, and it also has some extra health. Of course, Nihilis is a very high roll item, and if you can, of course, get one with legendary potential and decent rolls, it's good. But if you can get with one with +2 skills and everything just being positive, that is a big win. Frenzy, we don't really care about it that much because nothing is important with the attack speed. And then on all of our items, we will do the extra damage. This was not what I had. This is better than what I had. But basically, these gloves will change to one with +1 shadows. We are using 2 Jolra's star tiles because when you use, in this case, shift, or well, the first synchronized strike, you will put this. And then in those 4 seconds, you will use the Lethal Mirage and do a lot of damage. Of course, these are not 2 legendary potentials, so now you will be able to slam that for sure tier 7 dexterity. And then in Esteemed Fate, the same thing. Dexterity is more important than cooldown recovery, so try to slam that one. Same thing in the belt. I think health is actually more important than cooldown recovery, but it helps also a bit. Remember, we get the full cooldown recovery if you have a good rolled Black Blade of Chaos. But if not, you get some from these 2 places. Of course, Titan Heart is very good because it's less damage taken. The good mod, as you might expect, is the +2 mirages. On the helmet, you can use a normal helmet here with some resistances. There's also a critical strike multiplier, one with cooldown reduction, whichever you want. There's also one that gives dexterity. It's not bad for us. For the Black Blade of Chaos.
Piros said, I am hyped to have found a lethal mirage expert I can follow.
Yay, man.
I'm curious what endgame content you'll aim for with the Weaver Tree. I know you do MG, but I'll do co-F.
Something very interesting.
Piros said, but what parts PFT's Weaver Tree is good for us? Champions seems good we can melt instantly.
Yeah, we will know about that in the future. So that's everything for the guide, and I will see you on the next video. I can see some people are really hyped for the league. I'm also very hyped. I just did